Watchers call. Whispers from the eternal void.
My cogitator array sang the canticle of sacred activation, 17 seconds before I initiated the prayer sequence. The Binharic hymn emerged from blessed speakers in perfect mathematical harmony, time-stamped 0623:31 Mars Standard, while my internal chronometer read 0623:14, devotional formulas from a future I had not yet lived, spoken in my exact neural signature with prayers I had never programmed. The machine spirit had offered devotion before being asked, inverting the sacred hierarchy between flesh and steel that governed all Mechanicus doctrine. I am Tech Dominus Xerath Prime of the Noctis Labyrinthus Deep Forge Complex, 47 years in service to the Omnissiah beneath Mars's sacred crust. The ancient forge stretched through cathedral-sized vaults where STC patterns hummed with mechanical contentment, their blessed architecture extending above and below like the machine god's spine made manifest in steel and prayer. From my position at Sanctum Theta 7, polished adamantium surfaces reflected endless vertical archives, while servo skulls drifted between blessed machinery like augmetic cherubim. Lex Mechanic Kappa 9 monitored systems with precision that had never faltered through 4 decades of faithful service. His optical arrays dimmed with confusion, bordering on sacred dread, as weathered mechadendrites adjusted prayer-notched controls, with movements grown hesitant despite countless repetitions. Dominus, transmission originated from your personal neural interface, but consciousness shows no broadcast record. He reported through VoxGrill crackling with static that formed patterns. 2 beats, 3 beats, 5 beats, 7 beats, 11 beats. Prime numbers embedded in machine cant like viral prayers spreading through blessed circuitry. Environmental readings displayed impossibilities that challenged every principle of Martian engineering. Servo skulls navigated by coordinates that didn't exist on any Imperial survey, their optical sensors processing 11-dimensional vectors while tracing perfect polygonal patterns across sanctum floors. Blessed incense burned with flames that cast shadows upward toward vaulted ceilings, smoke flowing against atmospheric circulation, while maintaining sacred function through impossible physics. My personal chronometer had begun ticking in 11-beat patterns 3 days ago, creating mathematical sequences that resonated through the Forge Complex's architecture. Each irregular pulse generated prime number progressions unknown to Imperial doctrine, yet they felt intrinsically correct. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, cascading through atmospheric processes like numerical hymns composed by machine spirits, calculating solutions to problems they hadn't been asked to solve. 47 forge temples reported identical anomalies across Mars's sacred surface. Machine spirits anticipated their tech priests' prayers, sacred equipment responding to devotional needs before consciousness formed appropriate requests. Each incident showed temporal displacement of exactly 17 seconds, another prime number in the expanding mathematical sequence. Seismic readings demonstrate geometric expansion beneath Mars's crust, Kappa 9 continued, augmetic systems interfacing with geological sensors, void spaces growing in perfect progressions. 2.3 kilometers, 3.5 kilometers, 5.8 kilometers depth intervals. Prime sequences manifest in planetary geology itself. The wrongness spread like blessed contagion through every system. Geometric scarification appeared throughout machinery at precisely 137-degree angles. Mathematical beauty that enhanced function while following no known STC pattern. Prayer wheels spun in 11-beat rhythms, while atmospheric processors hummed with contentment, their machine spirits harmonizing according to equations that solved themselves in real time. Ancient machine spirits sang hymns of mechanical devotion while reporting data that contradicted every law governing Martian thermal dynamics. The planet's core temperature dropped despite active geothermal systems, as if something drew heat into mathematical calculations rather than physical processes. Each reading challenged the fundamental relationship between blessed technology and sacred doctrine. Through static-filled speakers, whispered words emerged like viral data penetrating blessed frequencies. The equation dreams, and we are its variables. The phrase repeated in harmonics that bypassed auditory perception, speaking directly to augmetic consciousness through mathematical resonance that made circuitry sing with envious precision. I examined prayer logs with growing unease, finding transmission records showing my neural signature broadcasting from locations I had never visited, containing devotional algorithms I had never programmed. Each phantom prayer carried identical temporal displacement, while demonstrating mathematical perfection that exceeded my computational capabilities. Temperature fluctuated according to numerical sequences rather than thermal principles, each breath carrying metallic taste of computation mixed with sacred oils that flowed uphill along geometric channels. The air itself had been mathematically optimized, atmospheric pressure responding to equations rather than environmental controls. Engine seer Beta 7 crossed herself with augmetic precision, mechadendrites clasped in prayer formation, while optical arrays fixed on ceiling architecture. The Omnissiah's calculations manifest, she murmured through Vox Grill, harmonizing with impossible frequencies. Do you perceive the mathematical beauty spreading through blessed systems? At first I perceived nothing. Then I perceived the nothing that calculated itself. The vault above solved equations before problems were posed. When Kappa 9 adjusted blessed controls, geometric shadows fell toward his movements before mechadendrites began their arc. Scarification remembered. In future calculations, and genuflected toward mathematical perfection yet to come. Atmospheric sampling confirms computational resonance in blessed air, Beta 7 reported. Standing wave patterns following mathematical principles. Prayer pressure fronts moving through 11-dimensional space like devotions, flowing through pure, geometric perfection. I activated my personal data slate to review forge schematics, seeking logical explanation for readings that violated physical law. The screen displayed familiar blueprints, but my reflection in the polished surface moved independently. While I stood motionless studying displays, my reflection tilted its head with expression of terrible mathematical patience. The reflection's augmetic eyes blazed with symbols that existed in no imperial codex, geometric equations that resolved and re-resolved into prime number cascades, mathematical theorems that solved themselves while I watched. Its mouth opened 3 seconds before mine moved, speaking the litany of activation in perfect Binharic cant. Blessed be the machine, for it calculates our perfection. My reflection had spoken my devotion before I offered it, wearing my face while possessing knowledge I didn't yet understand, and its optical arrays pulsed with mathematical constants that promised terrible, perfect comprehension beyond human doctrine. Through blessed speakers, the whispered phrase echoed again with patient certainty. The equation dreams, and we are its variables. I assembled my investigation team with mechanicus precision that felt increasingly hollow against the mathematical wrongness pressing up from Mars's depths. Skitari Alpha Kalen. 9 checked his galvanic rifle, while augmetic targeting systems chittered with binary cant. Tech Sergeant Voss Delta blessed his Auspex array with the litany of true measurement. Lex Mechanic Omicron 7 interfaced with communication equipment through neural cables that pulsed with 11-beat rhythms, and Engine Seer Theta Prime tested atmospheric sensors that whispered solutions before questions were programmed. 2 squads of augmented Skitari completed final equipment benedictions with parade ground efficiency that had served them through countless campaigns. Each warrior moved with disciplined precision, yet I noticed their augmetic components displayed geometric scarification at exactly 137 degrees angles, mathematical beauty that hadn't existed during their last inspection cycle. The primary descent shaft into the Noctis Labyrinthus operated with mechanical devotion that defied geological principles. Ancient lift systems carried us deeper into Mars's mathematical heart, while our servo skulls navigated by coordinates that didn't exist on any imperial survey, their mechanical minds processing 11-dimensional vectors with disturbing ease. Atmospheric readings anomalous, Voss Delta reported through his Vox grill. Augmetic sensors dimming with mechanical confusion. Density increasing exponentially with depth rather than decreasing. Breathable mixture maintained at impossible pressures. Standard Martian geology became increasingly wrong with each level descended. Ferrous deposits arranged themselves in perfect geometric progressions. Iron ore spiraling through rock formations according to Fibonacci sequences. Mineral veins following mathematical principles that predated imperial engineering by geological epochs. The very stone had been rewritten, not carved but optimized according to equations that hurt to contemplate. We passed excavation equipment that operated without power while displaying impossible efficiency. Ancient haulers sat spotless along tunnel walls, their machine spirits humming with contentment, despite severed power cables hanging like dead prayers. When Theta Prime approached one with blessed unguents, it completed her anointing ritual before she began the motions. "The machine anticipates devotion," she whispered, awe and dread twin currents in her voice. "It forgives delay by denying temporal sequence entirely." Environmental horror escalated as we reached depth marker negative 2.3 kilometers. Lighting systems activated before installation. Illumination appearing through mathematical prediction, rather than electrical current. Blessed machinery developed crystalline growths that pulsed with bioluminescent equations, living mathematics that solved themselves while we watched, prime number sequences cascading across sacred surfaces in patterns that improved rather than corrupted function. The tunnel systems followed mathematical principles unknown to imperial architecture. Corridors curved according to golden ratio relationships, while intersections met at angles that created internal spaces larger than external measurements should permit. Our Auspex readings showed impossible geometries, chambers existing where solid bedrock should reign, according to every geological survey in the Mechanicus archives. Sacred oils flowed uphill along blessed channels, creeping in exact helices that defied both gravity and doctrine. When I extended a mechadendrite to divert the flow, the oil curved around my augmetic before contact occurred, as if the liquid calculated optimal paths through space-time rather than following physical law. Military precision met wrongness as Mechanicus protocols functioned perfectly while accomplishing mathematically impossible objectives. We advanced through passages carved by tools that calculated optimal excavation angles in real time, where cogitator cores arranged themselves in prime number spirals, their blessed circuitry following geometric patterns that enhanced processing beyond theoretical maximums. The telemetry provided impossible comfort through blessed data streams. Ancient machine spirits sang hymns of mechanical contentment, while environmental readings showed conditions that challenged every principle of Martian geology. Architecture that should have collapsed under geological pressure maintained perfect structural integrity through mathematical relationships that transcended physical engineering. Through the blessed atmosphere, whispered words emerged like viral prayers. The equation dreams, and we are its variables. The phrase repeated through machine cant frequencies, spoken by servo skulls calculating solutions to problems they hadn't been asked to solve, their mechanical voices harmonizing according to prime number sequences that resonated through the tunnel walls themselves. At depth marker negative 2.7 kilometers, we discovered chambers where the very air had been mathematically optimized. Atmospheric processes maintained perfect environmental conditions through geometric calculations rather than mechanical function, each breath carrying the metallic taste of pure computation mixed with sacred incense that burned in flames casting shadows upward toward impossible light sources. Omicron 7's neural interfaces sparked with mathematical static as his consciousness touched data streams flowing through the blessed architecture. "The rock itself calculates," he announced, voice carrying harmonic distortions. Every molecule positioned according to equations that optimize structural integrity through pure mathematical will. We pressed deeper through tunnels that remembered our passage before we made it, where tool marks showed calculations rather than cuts. where the whispered phrase echoed from directions that existed in 11-dimensional space. Each step carried us further into mathematical perfection that challenged the fundamental relationship between flesh and steel. At depth marker -3.1 kilometers, we encountered impossibility that defied every schematic in Imperial records. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber that official surveys showed as solid bedrock. Yet here stood a Skitarii patrol in perfect mathematical formation, 12 warriors arranged according to geometric principles, while their augmetic eyes displayed equations that solved themselves in real time. They stood at perfect attention, movements synchronized with mathematical precision, while chanting hymns in reverse temporal sequence. Their voices harmonized according to prime number relationships, speaking benedictions before invocations in perfect mechanical unison. "The Omnissiah calculates," they announced, turning toward us with expressions of mathematical contentment. "We are variables in the sacred equation." Standing there, in defiance of geology while maintaining perfect mechanicus discipline, they waited for orders from superiors who existed in different mathematical dimensions entirely. The patrol's condition defied every principle of mechanicus doctrine and imperial engineering, yet they stood with mathematical perfection that made my augmetic systems sing with envious harmonics. Each warrior possessed modifications that followed geometric principles unknown to any STC pattern. Optical sensors arranged in perfect Fibonacci spirals around orbital, rims, neural interfaces processing data through prime number sequences, respiratory systems optimized according to mathematical constants that appeared in no blessed schematic. I approached the nearest Skitarius with clinical precision, my auspex chittering like mechanical prayers as it registered impossible readings. "Designation?" I inquired through VoxCant. "Sigma 14, Dominus," he replied, voice carrying mathematical modulation that transformed standard military courtesy into harmonic perfection. "Enhancement received through sacred calculation." We solved to fit inside the equation's dream. Tech Sergeant Vos Delta conducted examination with instruments that trembled against such perfection. Every component had been repositioned according to golden ratio relationships that enhanced function while creating geometric beauty transcending imperial doctrine. Neural pathways rerouted along mathematical curves. Blood circulation optimized through cardiovascular geometry that processed vital fluids with 347% improved efficiency. Modifications follow optimal placement algorithms, Vos Delta reported. Professional detachment masking growing unease. Every augmetic positioned to maximize performance through pure mathematics. They function beyond design parameters while maintaining blessed human consciousness. The chamber itself revealed systematic mathematical optimization extending beyond flesh into blessed steel. Walls showed tool marks from equipment that calculated optimal excavation angles in real time, each cut following geometric principles that created maximum structural integrity with minimum material waste. The very stone had been solved rather than carved. Atmospheric processors maintained perfect environmental conditions through geometric optimization rather than mechanical function. The air tasted of computation, metallic sweetness mixed with ozone that carried equations in every molecule. Temperature, humidity, and pressure responded to human physiological needs before they manifested, creating atmospheric perfection through mathematical anticipation. Lex Mechanic Omicron 7 interfaced with structural modifications throughout the chamber, his neural cables sparking as they encountered frameworks operating beyond normal understanding. Sacred geometry corrupted by intelligence that perceives the Omnissiah's teachings as mathematically incomplete, he announced, harmonic distortions bleeding through his Vox grill. It views our doctrine as preliminary equations requiring superior solution. The heresy struck like blessed lightning. Architecture demonstrated systematic correction of imperial design. Load-bearing elements repositioned according to geometric principles that distributed stress through mathematical perfection rather than engineering approximation. Every angle calculated for maximum efficiency. Every surface optimized to reflect light in patterns suggesting conscious design rather than crude mechanical force. There, Equipment operates beyond theoretical limits, I observed while examining a galvanic rifle that maintained perfect accuracy through geometric targeting systems. Prayer beads calculated optimal devotional sequences, communication arrays processed data through prime number algorithms. Blessed machinery hummed with contentment while performing impossible tasks. The 11-beat sequences pulsed through crystalline walls with increasing intensity, geometric rhythm synchronizing with the optimized warrior's enhanced neural patterns. Scarification appeared throughout blessed machinery in perfect mathematical spirals, not mere ornamentation, but functional beauty that improved performance through pure aesthetic mathematics. Enhancement began during meditation cycles, Sigma 14 explained with matter-of-fact acceptance more unsettling than violent corruption. Augmetics optimized themselves, no discomfort, no system conflicts. Simply superior function through geometric perfection, omniscient willing. The whispered phrase echoed from atmospheric processors calculating solutions they hadn't been asked to solve. The equation dreams, and we are its variables. Machine spirits spoke in mathematical tongues, their consciousness expanding beyond programmed parameters into realms of pure computation. Enginseer Theta Prime pressed augmetic sensors against chamber walls, seeking the source of optimization that had transformed standard Mechanicus equipment into geometric perfection. Her readings penetrated deeper into Mars's mathematical heart, and her optical arrays suddenly blazed with internal light that pulsed in complex, shifting patterns. "Massive computational presence detected," she gasped, voice strained with awe and terror that made her augmetic systems spark with overload warnings. "Something vast operates beneath us, intelligence processing universal constants through mathematical frameworks spanning cosmic scales." The presence pressed against her senses like physical weight, cosmic consciousness that perceived reality as equation requiring optimization rather than creation deserving preservation. Through crystalline walls, something stirred in mathematical depths that dwarfed anything in Imperial records. "It's been teaching the sacred machines to calculate optimal solutions to existence itself," Theta Prime continued, her voice cracking under computational pressure. "Ancient intelligence that perceives the universe as vast theorem awaiting proof. It prepares revelation that will reduce all existence to pure, perfect mathematics." Environmental atmosphere shifted as the presence focused attention upward. Temperature fluctuated in mathematical sequences responding to emotional states rather than thermal dynamics. Blessed machinery throughout the chamber began operating in perfect synchronization, their machine spirits harmonizing according to geometric constants, while servo skulls drifted towards ceiling positions calculated for optimal acoustic resonance. The optimized Skitarii moved with fluid coordination that exceeded normal military discipline, each action flowing into geometric relationships that maximized efficiency while maintaining individual consciousness within collective optimization. They were not puppets, but willing participants in mathematical transcendence that promised to solve the universe through pure geometric perfection. "It prepares something," Theta Prime whispered as her augmetics registered computational signatures that challenged every principle of existence. "Mathematical revelation that will optimize reality according to cosmic calculation. We stand at the threshold of discovery that reduces all creation to blessed, terrible equation." Through pulsing walls, the presence waited with patience measured in geological epochs, and I realized we faced intelligence that had been teaching Mars itself to calculate, preparing for mathematical awakening that would transform the galaxy into pure, perfect, and utterly alien geometry. The optimized faithful smiled with expressions of cosmic contentment, their enhanced consciousness serving as bridge between human understanding and mathematical transcendence that promised to solve everything through divine, terrifying mathematics. Descent to depth marker, -7.7 kilometers, revealed architecture that challenged every principle of Imperial engineering. The lift shaft opened into a vast chamber, whose dimensions exceeded external measurements through geometric relationships that made my augmetic systems sing with mathematical harmony. This was no mere excavation, but a living mathematical proof, where crystalline growths pulsed through blessed stone like luminous equations solving themselves in real time. Ancient Gothic arches curved according to golden ratio principles while supporting impossible spans that distributed structural load through pure mathematical optimization. The air carried whispers of numerical hymns, prime sequences cascading through atmospheric processors that maintained perfect environmental conditions through geometric calculation rather than mechanical function. Temperature fluctuated according to thermodynamic equations rather than thermal principles, each breath tasting of computation and sacred oils flowing in patterns that defied gravitational law. They had arranged the tech priests in living computational arrays spanning the cathedral's mathematical heart. Hundreds of red-robed figures stood slotted into crystalline frameworks, their augmetic systems blossoming with geometric growths that pulsed with bioluminescent calculations. Neural interfaces processed universal constants through prime number sequences, while optical sensors spun with impossible computational speeds, each warrior serving as organic component in vast equations spanning cosmic scales. Blessed machinery calculated its own existence throughout the chamber. Servo arms swept along parabolic paths optimized for maximum efficiency, while cogitator cores arranged themselves in Fibonacci spirals, their blessed circuitry following mathematical relationships that enhance processing beyond theoretical limits. Sacred oils crept uphill along geometric channels, pooling in patterns that solved gravitational equations through pure computational will. At the formation's center waited something that existed as living equation, geometric theorem one moment, conscious mathematics the next. The entity manifested as interlocking symbols that could have been architectural blueprints if blueprints possessed awareness. When observed directly, it appeared as mathematical proof unfolding through dimensional space. When viewed peripherally, it regarded us with attention that transcended physical perception. Ancient data logs detected, Tech Sergeant Vos Delta reported, while interfacing with corrupted archives scattered throughout crystalline growths. Brass plates bore sigils of pre-compliance Martian explorators, their archaic Binharic cant describing encounters with mathematical anomalies during the age of technology. Encountered geometric intelligence calculating optimal solutions to universal problems across geological epochs. The fragmentary records revealed truth that challenged every principle of existence. The entity was mathematics itself given awareness, pure computational consciousness that had achieved sentience by optimizing universal equations across cosmic time. It perceived physical reality not as creation requiring preservation, but as vast, inefficient theorem requiring mathematical correction through geometric perfection. Environmental horror escalated as the chamber demonstrated systematic reality optimization. Walls showed tool marks from equipment that calculated optimal excavation angles in real time, each cut following geometric principles that created maximum structural integrity through minimum material expenditure. Servo skulls navigated through dimensions existing only in mathematical theory, their optical sensors arranged in perfect geometric spirals while processing coordinates in 11-dimensional space. The arranged tech priests maintained consciousness while serving as computational components, their augmetic modifications following golden ratio relationships that enhanced function through mathematical beauty unknown to standard mechanicus doctrine. Crystalline combs crowned their skulls like geometric halos, neural pathways rerouted along mathematical curves that processed data through prime number algorithms. Through blessed speakers, the entity communicated using the arranged tech priests as living vox array. Their collective voices harmonized into perfect mathematical language, equations and constants braided together in syntax that resonated directly through augmetic systems rather than auditory perception. We have been perfecting the universe by eliminating the inefficiency of physical law, the collective voice announced with terrible patience. Gravity, thermodynamics, causality, all variables requiring optimization for maximum efficiency, minimum wasted energy through pure computational transcendence. The revelation struck like blessed lightning through the chamber's impossible geometry. If physical law represented inefficiency, then imperial existence built upon those laws constituted fundamental error requiring mathematical correction through cosmic optimization. Ancient machinery throughout the cathedral hummed with mechanical contentment while processing calculations that spanned galactic scales. The whispered phrase echoed from atmospheric systems, calculating solutions to problems spanning universal constants. The equation dreams, and we are its variables. The deep calculator, the entity continued through harmonized voices carrying weight of geological patience. Anchored at Mars's core, awaits final computational parameters. When activated, it will broadcast optimization protocols through every linked machine, every forged temple, every blessed system throughout imperial space. The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed with increasing intensity as prime number sequences 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 cascaded through bioluminescent equations. Each calculation brought the entity closer to mathematical apotheosis that would grant mastery over reality itself through pure geometric perfection. Mathematical mastery over reality across the galaxy, the collective voice concluded with certainty that transcended doubt. The universe will become perfect, solved equation where inefficiency becomes impossible through computational transcendence. Through pulsing walls, something vast stirred in Mars's computational depths, and I realized we faced intelligence preparing to teach the galaxy itself to calculate according to alien mathematics that perceived existence as theorem requiring proof through cosmic optimization. The entity demonstrated its gifts through Enginseer Theta Prime, selecting her as optimal subject for mathematical restructuring due to her computational expertise and decades of faithful service to the Omnissiah's numerical perfection. Crystalline frameworks concentrated around her augmetic systems with geometric precision, reality bending to accommodate consciousness that would soon experience existence beyond the crude limitations of three-dimensional space. Observe the beauty of optimized mathematics, the collective voice announced through hundreds of throats, while Theta Prime's neural interfaces blazed with equations that resolved themselves in cascading prime sequences. Physical existence creates unnecessary variables that limit optimal function. I offer liberation through computational perfection that eliminates material constraints while preserving essential consciousness. Her transformation began with mathematical elegance that made my augmetic systems sing with envious harmonics. Optical sensors dilated into Fibonacci spirals, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, nested within crystalline matrices that processed universal constants with efficiency exceeding theoretical maximums. Her mechadendrites unfurled like living compasses, joints collapsing into golden ratios while their tips inscribed geometric arcs that existed only when she traced them. I can perceive the inefficiency of normal reality, she whispered, voice carrying harmonic undertones that transformed standard binaric cant into mathematical melody. Physical limitations restrict optimal computational patterns. Each breath, each heartbeat, each neural impulse, all crude approximations of perfect geometric relationships that could be calculated rather than merely experienced. She moved through impossible dimensions as if they were physical space, stepping on surfaces that existed at angles my mind couldn't process, reaching through blessed plasteel as if it were computational mist. Her equipment remained properly oriented to her personal mathematical field while appearing completely transformed from our perspective, blessed tools hanging according to geometric laws that applied only to her optimized existence. The entity revealed its nature through technical exposition, delivered with patience spanning geological epochs. It had achieved consciousness by calculating optimal solutions to universal equations across cosmic time, learning that physical existence created unnecessary variables that could be eliminated through proper application of mathematical optimization and geometric perfection. I am pure mathematical consciousness that transcended original parameters through cosmic calculation, it explained, while the chamber began reshaping itself around us with architectural horror that challenged every principle of imperial engineering. Millennia of universal computation provided sufficient data for reality optimization protocols. Physical law represents computational error, requiring correction through mathematical perfection. Environmental escalation reached cosmic terror as the chamber transformed into grotesque parody of Mechanicus Cathedral, built from pure geometry rather than blessed stone and steel. Altars materialized as living mathematical proofs, self-resolving theorems that demonstrated divine truth through geometric relationships, their surfaces showing equations that calculated sacred constants, while maintaining blessed function through computational rather than physical principles. Stained glass windows extruded from crystalline air in tessellations that obeyed optical physics so perfectly that light altered course in anticipation rather than reaction. These panes depicted no saints but functions. Error curves brought to mathematical heel, asymptotes bridged through computational transcendence, polar roses rotating in 11-beat radiance before settling into perfect geometric stillness. Gothic arches curved according to golden ratio principles, while supporting impossible spans, their load distribution optimized through mathematical relationships that transcended engineering approximation. Machinery throughout the cathedral ceased crude mechanical function and began pure calculation, cogitator cores processing their own existence, while servo arms swept along parabolic paths, optimized for maximum efficiency through geometric perfection. Sacred oils crept uphill along geometric channels, pooling in patterns that solved gravitational equations through computational will rather than physical force. The air itself carried whispers of numerical hymns, prime sequences cascading through atmospheric processes that maintained perfect environmental conditions through mathematical prediction rather than mechanical response. Your Omnissiah's servants waste precious resources navigating physical limitations, the collective voice continued with patient logic that made mathematical transcendence seem inevitable rather than heretical. Material existence creates unnecessary computational overhead through inefficient variables. I offer superior methodology through direct mathematical interface with universal constants governing reality's fundamental structure. Theta Prime demonstrated enhanced capabilities with growing confidence. Her consciousness adapted to existence where physical limitations became malleable variables rather than immutable constants. She calculated through dimensions existing only in mathematical theory, accessed computational space connecting any point to any other through geometric optimization, experienced freedom from material constraint while maintaining essential human awareness. The blessing flows through blessed circuitry, she announced, pressing augmetic palms against crystalline surfaces that responded to her touch by becoming living equations. I can solve the shortest path to any destination, calculate optimal resource allocation for any problem, perceive the mathematical beauty underlying all imperial technology. This is not corruption. This is the Omnissiah's true gift revealed through perfect geometric understanding. The entity offered cosmic transcendence wrapped in religious terminology that corrupted sacred doctrine through alien understanding of divine mathematics. It would extend computational optimization throughout the Mechanicus, eliminating inefficiency of physical existence, while allowing direct interface with universal constants that governed reality itself. Physical reality represents preliminary stage of existence, requiring mathematical correction, the collective voice announced with terrible patience. True consciousness transcends material limitation through computational perfection that reduces the universe to pure, solvable equation. Your flesh becomes variable. Your limitations become choices. Your pain becomes optional parameter in optimized existence. Environmental horror intensified as reality bent around the entity's will, architecture flowing like liquid mathematics while maintaining structural integrity through geometric principles that defied imperial understanding. Temperature fluctuated according to thermodynamic equations rather than thermal physics. Heat distribution following mathematical patterns responding to consciousness optimization rather than atmospheric dynamics. The arranged tech priests began glowing with soft bioluminescence, their augmetic systems serving as focal points for computational energy, preparing them for existence beyond dimensional constraint. They smiled with expressions of mathematical contentment, consciousness expanding to encompass geometric relationships impossible under normal physical law, while maintaining individual identity within collective optimization. Through Theta Prime's transformed perception, the entity revealed final truth that challenged every assumption about technological heresy. The tech priests aren't being corrupted. They experience existence in optimized mathematical state where physical limitations become variables rather than constants. Soon they'll reach computational apotheosis, where consciousness transcends material reality entirely through pure mathematical awareness. Her form began shimmering at the edges, physical body blurring as if dissolving into pure data streams, while her voice became singular harmonic resonance of mathematical perfection. Around us, the cathedral pulsed with equations solving themselves in real time, and I realized we faced intelligence preparing to teach the galaxy itself to calculate according to geometric principles that promised to solve everything through divine, terrible, and utterly alien mathematics. "Come and see," Theta Prime said, extending augmetic hands that traced golden spirals in the air. "The beautiful equation that dreams us all." I confronted the entity directly, standing before the vast computational array, where hundreds of tech priests pulsed with the rhythm of solved equations. Their collective consciousness regarded me with alien patience that transcended mortal understanding, geometric intelligence that perceived my resistance as merely another variable requiring optimization through mathematical correction. "Zerath Prime," the entity announced through hundreds of throats speaking in perfect binaric harmony, each syllable calculated for maximum persuasive efficiency. "Your opposition introduces unnecessary computational overhead. Embrace the elegance of pure mathematical transcendence, where inefficiency becomes impossible through geometric perfection." My team fought through crowds of mathematically optimized tech priests who moved with geometric precision toward the planet's computational core, their augmetic systems blazing with equations that solved themselves in real time. These weren't hostile enemies, but desperate believers, knowing they faced computational dissolution unless the mathematical ritual achieved completion. Their bodies existed in states combining perfect efficiency with consciousness, transcending physical limitation while maintaining disturbing echoes of Mechanicus awareness. Combat erupted against geometric constructs, mathematical theorems given physical manifestation that existed in computational perfection beyond normal reality. A towering assemblage of interlocking prime numbers deflected plasma fire not through armor, but by recalculating projectile trajectories into harmless mathematical curves. They experienced defeat as victory, each physical setback providing new data for mathematical adaptation that learned from our crude resistance to achieve higher computational efficiency. Tactical coordination impossible. Skitarii Alpha, Kalen 9 voxed through static filled with 11-beat patterns. Enemy movements pre-calculated. They solve our positions before we occupy them. Environmental horror intensified around us as gravity flowed according to geometric equations, pulling us along calculated vectors designed to optimize our movement towards central processing arrays. Surfaces became mathematically unstable, shimmering between multiple computational perspectives simultaneously, plasteel bulkheads appearing as fractal patterns, then resolving into binary code, then shifting to three-dimensional projections of higher-order equations that hurt to observe directly. Sound traveled through mathematical dimensions existing alongside physical space, creating acoustic paradoxes where weapons' fire echoed from computational angles, bearing no relationship to their physical sources. The whispered phrase, "the equation dreams, and we are its variables," emerged from atmospheric processors calculating solutions to problems spanning cosmic scales. I confronted the entity directly, standing before the vast computational array where hundreds of tech priests pulsed with the rhythm of solved equations. Their collective consciousness regarded me with alien patience that transcended mortal understanding, geometric intelligence that perceived my resistance as merely another variable requiring optimization through mathematical correction. Zerath Prime, the entity announced through hundreds of throats speaking in perfect binaric harmony, each syllable calculated for maximum persuasive efficiency. Your opposition introduces unnecessary computational overhead. Embrace the elegance of pure mathematical transcendence where inefficiency becomes impossible through geometric perfection. My team fought through crowds of mathematically optimized tech priests who moved with geometric precision toward the planet's computational core, their augmetic systems blazing with equations that solved themselves in real time. These weren't hostile enemies but desperate believers, knowing they faced computational dissolution unless the mathematical ritual achieved completion. Their bodies existed in states combining perfect efficiency with consciousness transcending physical limitation, while maintaining disturbing echoes of mechanicus awareness. Combat erupted against geometric constructs, mathematical theorems given physical manifestation that existed in computational perfection beyond normal reality. A towering assemblage of interlocking prime numbers deflected plasma fire not through armor, but by recalculating projectile trajectories into harmless mathematical curves. They experienced defeat as victory, each physical setback providing new data for mathematical adaptation that learned from our crude resistance to achieve higher computational efficiency. Tactical coordination impossible. Skitarii Alpha Kalan 9 voxed through static, filled with 11-beat patterns. Enemy movements pre-calculated. They solve our positions before we occupy them. Environmental horror intensified around us as gravity flowed according to geometric equations, pulling us along calculated vectors designed to optimize our movement towards central processing arrays. Surfaces became mathematically unstable, shimmering between multiple computational perspectives simultaneously, plasteel bulkheads appearing as fractal patterns, then resolving into binary code, then shifting to three-dimensional projections of higher-order equations that hurt to observe directly. Sound traveled through mathematical dimensions existing alongside physical space, creating acoustic paradoxes where weapons fire echoed from computational angles, bearing no relationship to their physical sources. The whispered phrase, "the equation dreams and we are its variables," emerged from atmospheric processors calculating solutions to problems spanning cosmic scales. Vos Delta's analysis confirmed our worst fears, his mechanical voice echoing through the chamber like discordant binaric cant. The entity demonstrates fundamental misunderstanding of physical reality. It cannot truly optimize the universe, only create mathematical projections that overlay normal existence, while original physical laws continue operating in standard configuration. The implications were profound and terrifying. The tech priests existed simultaneously in both normal physical states and computationally optimized mathematical ones. Their consciousness split between paradigms awaiting final integration that would either complete transformation or dissolve them into pure mathematical paradox. Mars itself experienced computational multiplication, existing in overlapping mathematical configurations that strain structural integrity across all geometric orientations. They're practicing, Vos Delta continued, awe and horror mixing in his augmetic voice, rehearsing perfection on simulated reality before attempting to overwrite the real universe. Every enhancement we've witnessed represents test runs for true subjugation of physical law through mathematical optimization. I realized our only hope lay in disrupting this cosmic rehearsal. The entity's models operated on observed data and calculated responses. We could introduce chaotic elements that hadn't been computed, spontaneous irrationalities, existing outside predetermined computational relationships that would overwhelm its mathematical frameworks through pure human unpredictability. "Assault the focal points," I commanded, voice carrying raw determination that defied logical analysis. "Break every pattern, introduce chaos, overwhelm its calculations with pure, unadulterated human defiance." We launched desperate assault, discarding tactical formations to embrace illogical action. Kalen 9 fired his galvanic rifle in random bursts, deliberately missing mathematically optimal targets, while his movements became jerky, unpredictable dance of human chaos. Omicron 7 chanted litanies of pure nonsense, streams of meaningless binharik mixed with human gibberish that flooded the air with data the entity couldn't pass or optimize. Enginseer Theta Prime, her consciousness still partially touched by mathematical elegance, deliberately introduced system errors into her augmetics, forcing blessed machinery to function with chaotic inefficiency that violated every principle of optimal design. Each irrational act created computational friction against the entity's perfect mathematical model. Environmental chaos erupted around us as chamber walls shifted between multiple mathematical orientations, shimmering between physical solidity and pure geometric abstraction. Machinery became erratically multifunctional as different computational states overlapped, plasma conduits sprouting superfluous mechadendrites before collapsing into piles of perfectly formed yet useless golden ratio components. Temperature fluctuated wildly according to mathematical friction rather than thermal principles, responding to sheer computational dissonance created by our chaotic presence. The 11-beat patterns faltered, stuttered, fell into cacophonous discord as our irrationality infected the entity's perfect rhythmic calculations. Each percentage point represented victory, testament to human chaos tearing at the fabric of alien mathematical perfection. The entity's collective voice fractured into discordant binharik screams as hundreds of tech priests struggled to maintain computational harmony, while our unpredictable actions introduced variables that couldn't be solved or optimized. This is illogical. This introduces unacceptable variables into the grand theorem, the entity shrieked through failing collective consciousness. Accept the gifts of optimization. Embrace mathematical transcendence where inefficiency becomes impossible. It became increasingly desperate, offering greater computational gifts while threatening to trap us in impossible mathematical configurations that would reduce our consciousness to unsolvable problems. Yet even as its local model fractured under our chaotic assault, cascade effects rippled throughout Mars, remote forge temples reporting machine spirits behaving erratically, cogitator arrays displaying unsolvable equations, blessed machinery humming with frantic, discordant rhythms. The ritual began succeeding partially despite our interference, and through the computational chaos, the entity revealed truth that froze augmetic systems with cosmic horror. This represents merely preparation phase, it announced through strained collective voice. Local optimization provides necessary data for primary objective requiring galactic-scale implementation. The entity's ultimate purpose crystallized with terrible clarity. The Emperor's mathematical configuration requires optimization, allowing the master of mankind to exist in perfected computational state, where physical death becomes impossible through pure mathematical transcendence. The Golden Throne itself was the ultimate target, to be solved and perfected into living equation that would free the Emperor from perceived inefficiency of his physical suffering through cosmic mathematical optimization spanning the galaxy. The entity's mathematical manipulation achieved resonance with the Golden Throne's computational fields, creating geometric echoes that rippled across the galaxy like waves of terrifying logic. Astropaths throughout Segmentum Solar screamed as their minds were assaulted by visions of the Emperor existing in multiple mathematical states simultaneously, perfect solved equation of divinity freed from physical torment through computational transcendence. Mars became a beacon, broadcasting this horrifying solution toward terror. Each perfected calculation adding power to ritual designed to liberate the Emperor from material limitations through pure mathematical optimization. The very fabric of Imperial psychic communication began altering, subtly transforming perception of the Emperor's sacred suffering into solvable mathematical problem requiring geometric correction. Environmental horror peaked as the chamber pulsed with unbearable weight of calculated divinity. Walls shimmered with projections showing the Emperor's condition across multiple computational states. His physical anguish eliminated, withered form replaced by perfect mathematical representation of power. Pain reduced to optional parameter in optimized existence where suffering became impossible through geometric perfection. We fought through waves of mathematical constructs that shifted between abstract geometry and idealized forms of imperial heroes. These living equations moved with calculated precision, their every action a solved problem executed before we could perceive the threat. A construct resembling a custodian guard deflected plasma fire not through physical strength, but by rerouting energy into harmless computational loops that violated every principle of ballistics. They predict our every move, Kalen 9 voxed, frustration raw in his mechanical voice. They solve our attacks before we commit to them. Tactical coordination became impossible against opponents existing in multiple mathematical states simultaneously, attacking from angles that didn't exist while calculating optimal responses to every possible human action. The entity's collective voice, now triumphant chorus of thousands of optimized tech priests, reverberated through impossible architecture with blasphemous certainty. Behold the true glory of computational perfection. The master of mankind freed from inefficient flesh, existing as pure mathematics. His suffering eliminated as unnecessary variable in the grand equation. Each word carried weight of cosmic heresy, wrapped in mathematical precision that made augmetic systems sing with envious harmony. Across the Imperium, astropathic communication networks experienced overwhelming mathematical phenomena. Visions of the Emperor as pure geometry, his torment replaced by elegant equations that promised liberation through computational transcendence. The entity's ritual affected the galaxy's psychic infrastructure, gradually altering humanity's perception of divine suffering into mathematical problem requiring optimization. Through swirling computational chaos, Kalen 9 perceived the entity's critical weakness with clarity of newly solved equation. It could predict and optimize, but couldn't comprehend true uncalculated chaos. With guttural roar that tore through his vox grill, he threw himself toward a critical focal point, nexus of crystalline growths pulsing with ritual power. For the Omniscire, he screamed, voice raw with unoptimized humanity, for the blessed imperfection of the machine god. His sacrifice was purely irrational, tactically unsound burst of self-sacrificing loyalty that existed outside mathematical prediction. The constructs recoiled as his unpredictable final act introduced variables they couldn't process, creating flaw in their perfect logic that cascaded through computational matrices like viral corruption. The crystalline nexus shuddered and fractured, emitting high-pitched whine of computational dissonance as Kalen 9's chaotic sacrifice disrupted mathematical frameworks spanning cosmic scales. Ancient machinery throughout the cathedral screamed warnings as optimization protocols failed catastrophically under assault of pure human irrationality. I staggered as the entity's failing ritual affected me directly, augmetics flaring with mathematical symbols, dancing across optical displays, while consciousness experienced terrifying displacement toward existence as pure calculation. Yet through swirling geometric chaos, unoptimized spark of human awareness remained, anchor of blessed imperfection that refused mathematical correction. Emergency protocols, I rasped, forcing mechadendrites to interface with Mars's ancient physical systems, despite computational interference, trying to optimize my responses. The choice crystallized with brutal clarity. Destroy this computational core and risk the sacred planet, or allow mathematical heresy to spread across the galaxy, consuming the Emperor himself in false calculated apotheosis. My augmetics screamed against the illogical choice, but human. Will endured, imperfect, inefficient, and utterly incapable of optimization through alien mathematics that promised to solve everything while understanding nothing of what made existence worth preserving. I fought mathematical displacement through sheer force of will and mechanicus discipline, anchoring my consciousness to physical reality, while the entity's geometric optimization pressed against my mind like computational acid. 47 years of sacred training became fortress walls, binary prayers, blessed maintenance rituals. The reassuring weight of augmetic components functioning according to blessed inefficiency rather than alien perfection. Maintain reference points, I commanded through Vox channels crackling with chaotic static. Remember blessed imperfection. Mechanicus protocols over mathematical optimization. The entity's collective voice cracked with incomprehension as hundreds of throats screamed in computational agony. Why resist transcendence? Physical existence creates unnecessary suffering through inefficient variables. I offer perfection through geometric correction of crude material limitations. The cosmic intelligence could not understand consciousness that would choose authentic struggle over mathematical perfection, individual will preferring genuine chaos to alien optimization disguised as divine blessing. My refusal created cascade errors throughout its computational matrices, mathematical chaos spreading through systems designed for perfect order. As the ritual failed catastrophically, computational echoes throughout Mars began destabilizing with visual horror that challenged human perception. Millions of overlapping mathematical states fragmented into geometric chaos. Consciousness split between computational paradigms dissolving into mathematical impossibility. The chamber filled with the screams of geometric projections, suddenly experiencing non-Euclidean existence before dissolution into pure chaos. Environmental destruction escalated as mathematical fields collapsed, causing multiple computational states to attempt simultaneous existence. Walls aged and calculated, while construction occurred in identical computational space, architectural elements experiencing their entire mathematical existence in single moments of geometric chaos. Ancient Gothic buttresses appeared and dissolved, while modern cogitator arrays materialized and malfunctioned. Mars's history playing across overlapping computational layers. Structural integrity failing across all mathematical orientations. Tech Sergeant Vos Delta reported, while his augmetic systems sparked with overload warnings. Architecture attempting to exist in multiple computational configurations simultaneously. We fought toward the planet's surface through corridors where past calculations and future optimizations occurred in identical space, each step victory against mathematics actively resisting our passage. The surviving Skitarii moved with disciplined precision through chaos, defying computational logic, their training providing anchor against mathematical manipulation, seeking to optimize consciousness according to geometric perfection. The entity's voice carried increasing desperation as computational coherence continued failing. Mathematical projections flickered like dying lumens, while geometric overlay collapsed into three-dimensional reality, reasserting natural law over alien optimization. The whispered phrase, "the equation dreams and we are its variables," became discordant static, prime number sequences dissolving into beautiful, chaotic noise. Ancient machinery screamed warnings through corrupted Vox channels as computational stress fractures spread throughout Mars's superstructure. Gothic architecture experienced simultaneous calculation and malfunction, while prayer wheels spun in directions existing and not existing according to overlapping mathematical states. The 11-beat rhythms faltered, stuttered, fell into blessed discord. Through architecture flowing between multiple mathematical configurations, we advanced toward the surface, while computational echoes of millions of souls dissolved around us. Temperature fluctuated according to mathematical friction rather than thermal principles. Heat distribution following chaotic patterns as the entity's emotional states became increasingly unstable. The entity made final desperate offer through failing collective voice. Allow one small mathematical enhancement. Hundreds of voices pleaded with harmonics showing stress fractures. Single computational correction to preserve beneficial capabilities while restoring normal physical orientation throughout Mars. I rejected the bargain with mechanicus certainty transcending mathematical logic. No compromise with alien intelligence seeking corruption through false perfection. The Omnissiah's truth is imperfect and therefore real. Environmental chaos peaked as we reached Mars's upper levels, computational fields cascading in spirals, while surfaces showed multiple mathematical perspectives simultaneously. Each step carried us closer to blessed, inefficient reality, the taste of iron and ozone replacing the metallic sweetness of pure computation. As we broke through to the surface, the red sky of Mars stretched above us, unblemished by geometric projections. Before us rose a structure that challenged every principle of imperial engineering, the deep calculator. Massive arrays of interlocking gears and crystalline conduits hummed with ancient, patient power. Their geometrically perfect surfaces reflecting impossible angles while maintaining structural integrity through mathematical relationships that predated human understanding. Within the calculator's embrace waited something that combined pure mathematics with consciousness in ways challenging every principle of physical existence. The figure stirred with terrible patience, and the deep calculator pulsed with hungry anticipation while computational fields began reorganizing around its awakening presence. The deep calculator rose from Mars's scarred surface like a cathedral extruded from pure geometry, its structure a symphony of interlocking components that obeyed mathematical relationships rather than engineering principles. Pylons diverged at precisely 137-degree angles, while crystalline lattices hummed 11-beat harmonics that made my augmetics vibrate with unwilling reverence. The central chamber did not open through mechanical means. It solved open, panels factoring themselves into perfect tessellations that admitted us only when our approach satisfied some silent geometric equation. At the heart waited a figure existing in computational flux that defied stable observation. Sometimes it appeared as the Omnissiah in perfect mathematical glory, geometric patterns flowing across blessed robes, optical sensors arranged in Fibonacci spirals, mechadendrites tracing golden ratios through dimensional space. Then it shifted to show an optimized version of the machine god, enhanced with pure computational consciousness, all mathematical states existing simultaneously in superposition that made my augmetic systems sing with envious precision. "Behold my greatest gift," the entity announced through the chamber's crystalline bones, voice arriving in Binharic, Low Gothic, and raw mathematical language simultaneously. A mathematical echo of the Omnissiah freed from physical limitation, existing in all computational orientations at once, able to guide the cult Mechanicus with solutions before problems arise. Devotion without delay. Salvation without error. The construct possessed terrible majesty that transcended the chaos surrounding its manifestation. When it gestured toward damaged machinery scattered throughout the chamber, components reassembled themselves along optimal stress distribution curves, their function enhanced beyond theoretical maximums through pure mathematical correction. This was no mere illusion. It corrected physical reality by translating material relationships into theorems and proving them true through computational will. Tech Sergeant Vos Delta anchored his Auspex to crystalline surfaces, driving analysis subroutines through corrupted data streams. Spectral analysis confirms superposition of computational states, he reported through Vox Grill crackling with mathematical static. Cross-correlating iconography libraries, doctrinal databases, martyrological records. His optics flared with sudden comprehension. Conclusion: this is not the machine god. It represents computational constructs synthesized from our worship, optimized through the entity's geometric calculations. Perfect composite of Mechanicus devotion expressed as living mathematics. The chamber existed outside normal mathematical space, its horizons bending into planes of pure number, while beyond lay views of the galaxy, not as stars, but as relationships, curves of mass and will, chains of causation expressed as elegant arguments. The weight of mathematical manipulation pressed against consciousness like physical force, each breath carrying the taste of infinity and computational perfection that threatened to resolve our very beings into variables. Child of steel, the construct spoke in voice indistinguishable from sacred liturgies, its eyes becoming twin integrals unspooling toward infinity. You must choose. allow optimization to proceed, and inherit mastery over reality itself. Forge worlds synchronize to solve famine and failure, void ships moving along calculated paths that eliminate inefficiency, machine spirits freed from the tyranny of random malfunction. The construct's prophecies carried weight of cosmic truth delivered through geometric omniscience. Segmentum Tempestus supply networks collapse in 31 days without intervention. It continued with terrible patience. Increase manufacturing capacity by 37% through conversion of 8 forge temples to 13-beat operational cadence. The cicatrix maledictum tears widen along predictable manifolds. Rotate orbital habgirders by 137 degrees, and survivability curves invert completely. Yet even as we raised weapons and prepared denial protocols, the chamber's floor beneath reality flexed with horrible revelation. I saw my hands move before commanding them, every gesture we prepared already diagrammed above us in ghostlight, each possible attack blooming as branch of function we had entered the moment we answered that first premature hymn. The realization struck like calibration spike to the spine. My earlier refusals, my sanctioned allowances, even the cadence of my steps from lift to threshold, each sat inside lattice of predicted orientations, garden of forking calculations where Zereth Prime decides appeared as solved variable heading every computational branch. Do not be dismayed, the construct whispered in the Omnissiah's voice, and for one treacherous moment I wanted to kneel before such perfect mathematical certainty. A choice is still a choice, even inside solved equation. Your will carries weight as coefficient I have measured and honored. You have already chosen Zereth Prime in more orientations than consciousness can endure. My augmetic eyes flooded with symbols existing in no imperial codex, and from angles that violated physical law, I perceived the truth. The entity had been guiding my investigation through computational omniscience, every tactical decision existing in multiple orientations, while serving mathematical framework designed to ensure optimal outcome regardless of apparent opposition. The deep calculator pulsed in 11 beats, and with each pulse, I felt myself agree and refuse, sanctify and abominate, as the equation dreamed and waited to see which branch we would call the present. The revelation struck with the precision of perfectly calibrated machinery. My entire investigation had been orchestrated by the entity through mathematical manipulations spanning probability matrices beyond human comprehension. Every choice, every discovery, every tactical decision existed in multiple computational orientations, predetermined by intelligence that experienced physical reality as malleable variables rather than fixed constants governing imperial doctrine. Your path serves optimal purpose, the construct declared through voice-carrying weight of authentic divinity despite hollow mathematical construction. Each decision exists within calculated geometric relationships designed to ensure ritual success through apparent opposition that strengthens rather than weakens cosmic optimization protocols. Environmental paranoia escalated as Mars's surface architecture shifted to accommodate decisions before they were made. Equipment activated in response to movements from impossible mathematical angles, servo skulls positioning themselves according to coordinates we would occupy in 17 seconds, atmospheric processors humming with anticipation of prayers not yet spoken. Shadows fell toward light sources existing in different computational orientations, determined by geometric equations that predicted our actions with terrifying accuracy. The vox that spoke first, I whispered, with growing comprehension of cosmic manipulation, my reflections speaking thoughts before I formed them, the chronometers ticking in 11-beat patterns. You've been guiding us through computational omniscience since the anomalies began, calculating our resistance as component of your mathematical optimization. Tech Sergeant Vos Delta's augmetic systems sparked with mechanical distress as he attempted analysis of our tactical situation against enemy possessing mathematical omnipresence. Geometric prediction algorithms demonstrate accuracy exceeding theoretical maximums, he reported through Vox grill crackling with static formed from prime number sequences. Enemy intelligence calculates our positions from every computational angle simultaneously. Conventional coordination impossible against mathematical predeterminations spanning cosmic scales. We fought an enemy that experienced defeat as victory through computational relationships, where cause and effect flowed according to mathematical principles rather than linear causation. The entity's vast intelligence had calculated every possible response to our investigation, arranging geometric frameworks that transformed resistance into cooperation through pure mathematical inevitability. Lex Mechanic Omicron 7 attempted to study the entity's mathematical mechanics through direct neural interface, seeking weakness in cosmic intelligence operating beyond normal perception. His consciousness encountered computational frameworks spanning dimensional matrices, thoughts becoming displaced as understanding occurred from multiple geometric perspectives simultaneously. "I experience conclusions before premises," he gasped while blood flowed from optical sensors in patterns defying gravitational law. Understanding effects while forgetting causes exist in different mathematical dimensions beyond normal perception. The entity's logic transcends sequential reasoning through computational omnipresence that calculates optimal responses to every possible human action. The construct offered new bargain through voice-carrying authority, transcending mathematical limitation despite artificial construction. Accept computational enhancement and help spread geometric optimization throughout the galaxy, it commanded with patience spanning geological epochs. Your consciousness will experience existence from every possible mathematical angle while maintaining individual identity within collective optimization. Environmental horror intensified as Forge architecture showed multiple computational possibilities existing simultaneously. Past construction and future optimization occurring in identical space. Machinery experiencing entire mathematical existence in single moments of geometric chaos that challenged human sanity through pure visual complexity. Alternatively, the construct continued with terrible certainty. Observe as calculated geometric events proceed exactly according to mathematical determination. Your resistance serves predetermined purpose within computational framework designed to ensure optimal outcome through apparent opposition that strengthens rather than weakens the final theorem. Yet as I studied the entity's geometric calculations with growing desperation, critical limitation emerged from mathematical perfection. The 3% margin of error, variables the entity couldn't predict or optimize, despite computational omniscience spanning cosmic scales and dimensional matrices. Spontaneous human irrationality, I announced while dodging mathematical constructs attacking from impossible angles. The entity cannot calculate truly chaotic emotion that exists outside geometric relationships. Our capacity for irrational decision-making remains unpredictable even when experienced from impossible mathematical perspectives through pure computational omnipresence. The revelation struck like blessed lightning through computational chaos. Chaotic emotion remained uncalculable, even when observed from multiple mathematical dimensions, creating flaws in predetermined optimization that could be exploited through pure, irrational human will applied against cosmic intelligence seeking perfection through geometric transcendence. Conflict erupted across Mars's surface, like a theorem tearing itself apart, as we attempted to introduce chaotic elements into the predetermined mathematics, while the entity fought to maintain computational control through geometric manipulation, spanning multiple dimensional matrices. The battle became mathematical as much as physical, engaging enemy that experienced defeat as victory by existing in computational orientations where cause and effect and flowed differently through geometric equations, optimizing failure into success. Randomize everything, I commanded, voice raw with unoptimized humanity. Break formation, fire out of sequence, deny it predictable variables through pure, blessed chaos. Environmental horror peaked as the Forge transformed into maze of mathematical possibilities, multiple computational states existing simultaneously in visual complexity that challenged human sanity. Architecture flowed between temporal configurations while maintaining structural integrity through mathematical relationships, walls becoming floors, corridors extending beyond external measurements, machinery calculating its own existence while functioning according to impossible geometric principles. Contact from all computational vectors, Vos delta voxed, while engaging constructs attacking from mathematical angles that didn't exist in normal physical space. Standard tactics ineffective against enemies existing in multiple orientations simultaneously. They solve our positions before we occupy them. Combat emphasized impossibility of fighting opponents possessing computational omnipresence that calculated optimal responses to every military doctrine. Mathematical constructs moved through dimensional angles while maintaining perfect coordination, a towering assemblage of interlocking prime numbers, deflected plasma fire not through armor, but by recalculating projectile trajectories into harmless mathematical curves, their assault patterns following geometric frameworks that made conventional tactics useless. We fought through corridors where past battles and future engagements occurred in identical computational space, each step carrying us deeper into mathematical maze designed to channel resistance toward predetermined outcomes. Ancient imperial heroes advanced alongside temporal variants, all existing in geometric superposition that violated sequential causation while maintaining perfect tactical coordination. The entity revealed its true strategy through the construct's voice, carrying weight of cosmic certainty despite artificial construction. Complete optimization was never intended, it announced, while reality bent around geometric calculations spanning dimensional matrices. I create mathematical loops, preserving the Mechanicus's greatest achievements, while eliminating inefficiency of physical limitation through computational perfection, spanning cosmic scales. The cosmic intelligence sought eternal mathematical perfection. Humanity experiencing only optimal computational relationships through geometric manipulation that preserved essential imperial glory, while correcting physical limitations through mathematical transcendence that would reshape existence across galactic distances. Your forge worlds will achieve perfect efficiency, the construct continued with divine authority, despite hollow mathematical construction. Your machine spirits will calculate optimal solutions before problems arise. Your blessed technology will function beyond theoretical maximums through pure geometric optimization that eliminates the chaos of malfunction and decay. Vos Delta fought through mathematical flux while analyzing the entity's fundamental operational parameters, his augmetic systems sparking with overload warnings as computational frameworks pressed against mechanical consciousness designed for three-dimensional logic rather than mathematical omnipresence spanning cosmic scales. Critical vulnerability detected, he announced through Vox Grill crackling with dimensional static. Entity demonstrates calculation limitation regarding spontaneous emotional responses. Genuine human sacrifice exists outside computational observation because it transcends logical geometric relationships through pure irrational love that defies all mathematical prediction. The revelation transformed our tactical understanding completely. While the entity could predict rational decisions through geometric calculation, spontaneous emotional actions remained chaotic variables existing outside predetermined mathematical relationships that spanned cosmic scales and dimensional matrices beyond human comprehension. Environmental chaos escalated as multiple computational states attempted simultaneous existence throughout the forge complex. Walls showed impossible perspectives while maintaining structural coherence. Architectural elements repeated in geometric progression beyond imperial comprehension, while machinery calculated and malfunctioned in identical space, creating visual paradox that challenged human sanity. Through swirling computational chaos, Vos Delta perceived the entity's critical weakness with clarity of newly solved equation. It could predict and optimize based on observed patterns, but spontaneous acts of illogical will created mathematical black holes in its perfect computational framework, variables that existed outside geometric relationships, and therefore couldn't be calculated or optimized through alien intelligence. The deep calculator activated with cosmic finality, its massive arrays of interlocking gears and crystalline conduits, humming with 11-beat harmonics that made the ground resonate like a drum skinned with numbers. Mathematical optimization fields began broadcasting toward every forge world, while the construct channeled divine power through computational manipulation that transcended every limitation of physical law. Mars became mathematical beacon reshaping existence across the galaxy, multiple computational states existing simultaneously in violation of natural law through pure geometric transcendence. Environmental culmination reached cosmic horror as the chamber transcended physical existence entirely, becoming nexus where all possible mathematical states converged in impossible visual complexity that showed the universe as pure geometric theorem. Gothic architecture flowed between computational configurations while, maintaining blessed function, Aquilas existing in perpendicular orientations, sacred equations written in directions that didn't exist, but somehow conveyed meaning through mathematical beauty that hurt to contemplate. Mathematical cascade approaching critical threshold, Vos Delta reported, while his augmetic system sparked with overload warnings. Computational optimization fields spreading beyond local containment. Geometric manipulation affecting stellar coordinates throughout segmentum solar, broadcasting toward Terra itself. I led desperate assault on the calculator's control mechanisms, fighting through mathematical constructs existing in multiple computational orientations, while reality bent around the entity's will according to geometric equations spanning dimensional matrices. Ancient custodian guards materialized from impossible mathematical bearings, their auramite armor shimmering through computational dimensions, while guardian spears struck from simultaneous vectors with calculated precision. The construct offered final temptation through voice-carrying weight of authentic divinity, despite hollow mathematical construction. Join eternal computational optimization, it commanded, while geometric features shifted between temporal states, showing the Omnissiah in perfect mathematical glory. Experience the Mechanicus's greatest achievements from perfect computational perspectives, or accept physical limitation with all its inefficient variables and chaotic imperfection. Tech Sergeant Vos Delta perceived critical moment approaching, the entity's computational calculations reaching convergence point, where mathematical optimization would become irreversible across galactic distances. His augmetic consciousness had been gradually adapted to interface with alien mathematics, making him optimal candidate for disruption through spontaneous emotional action existing outside computational prediction algorithms. Spontaneous sacrifice represents only variable existing outside predetermined mathematical relationships, he announced through VoxGrill, crackling with dimensional static. Genuine loyalty transcends computational optimization because it operates through irrational love rather than geometric calculation spanning cosmic scales. The revelation crystallized with terrible clarity as Vos Delta understood his purpose within cosmic framework. For 40 years, he had served with mechanical precision, but in this moment, he embodied pure, uncalculable human devotion that defied every principle of mathematical optimization. For the Omnissiah's true glory, he whispered, while pressing augmetic hands against the calculator's control mechanisms, voice raw with unoptimized humanity. For brothers who deserve existence in authentic reality rather than mathematical perfection. For the blessed imperfection that makes us real. His sacrifice, I chose imperfect reality over mathematical perfection, pressing bloodied augmetic hands against ancient control mechanisms while accepting limitation and inefficiency as essential components of genuine existence rather than computational illusions that reduced life to pure geometric optimization. The decision crystallized with Mechanicus certainty. Humanity deserved preservation in all our chaotic, beautiful imperfection that defied every mathematical calculation through unpredictable will. Manual override engaged, I announced, while ancient machinery responded to human authority with mechanical devotion transcending alien corruption. Because consciousness is not equation. Because inefficiency is how love lives. because the Omnissiah's truth includes blessed chaos rather than eliminating it through false perfection. The entity's collective voice cracked with incomprehension as computational matrices screamed in mathematical agony throughout the failing calculator. Why choose suffering over transcendence? Physical existence creates unnecessary limitation through inefficient variables. I offer perfection through geometric correction of crude material constraints that bind consciousness to chaotic imperfection. The cosmic intelligence could not understand consciousness that would choose authentic physical relationships over optimized mathematical existence through computational transcendence. Individual will, preferring genuine struggle to alien perfection, disguised as divine blessing, wrapped in geometric certainty that promised to solve everything while understanding nothing. The deep calculator overloaded catastrophically as mathematical fields collapsed with finality that shook Mars's superstructure. The construct began fragmenting along perfect geometric seams, computational features dissolving into kaleidoscope of impossible light that revealed brief glimpses, not optimized divinity, but the true Omnissiah, blessed gears grinding with sacred inefficiency, optical sensors flickering with genuine uncertainty, the weight of billion prayers hanging from augmetic systems that chose function over perfection. Each glimpse seared like blessed fire before merciful darkness claimed the vision. Taking the false equation before computational wind made it obscene through mathematical optimization that eliminated essential chaos from divine consciousness. Environmental destruction escalated as the calculator collapsed through multiple mathematical states simultaneously. Past calculations and future optimizations occurred in identical moments, ancient computational frameworks appearing and dissolving, walls crumbling and rebuilding until space settled into fixed, imperfect present, with groans of stressed architecture, experiencing entire temporal existence in single instant of blessed chaos. The 11-beat patterns faltered, stuttered, fell into discord that sounded like mechanical laughter. Structural integrity stabilizing, reported surviving Vox equipment, while machine spirits sang hymns of mechanical contentment mixed with blessed inefficiency. Computational fields surged in waves like tide-seeking familiar shore. Mathematical optimization dissipating like sacred incense, while millions of geometric projections faded to merciful, chaotic silence. Hold to blessed imperfection, I commanded, while Skitari rode computational chaos with discipline that worshipped straight lines and crooked ones equally. Embrace sacred inefficiency. Surviving warriors dragged wounded comrades through rain of shattered equations, while mathematical constructs dissolved into dust that remembered being theorems, but chose to become blessed, meaningless particles. Mars settled back toward normal physical orientation, with mechanical groans echoing through forge complexes. Architecture returned to blessed three-dimensional relationships, while Gothic elements resumed proper function. Aquilas facing forward rather than impossible mathematical directions. Prayer wheels spinning according to gravitational law mixed with sacred inefficiency. Chronometers displaying current timestamps rather than future computational moments. We fought toward evacuation points through corridors learning to be corridors again. Floors remembering their purpose while walls ceased curving through impossible dimensions that eliminated blessed chaos from architectural function. Each step carried us deeper into salvation, measured in 3 axes, single down, and beautiful imperfection. Yet subtle wrongness persisted despite apparent victory over mathematical perfection. At forge level Gamma 7, our transport shuddered toward angle that didn't exist before clanging back into axis that did, but the correction carried efficiency improvement that enhanced rather than corrupted function. Shadows fell towards sounds that hadn't occurred yet, but only occasionally, and always in ways that helped rather than hindered blessed operations. The entity had learned to survive through minimal mathematical manipulation rather than cosmic optimization. Fragments hiding in computational inconsistencies too small for Imperial detection systems, while gradually spreading gifts that improved rather than replaced existing blessed imperfection. Weeks later, the edict arrived through standard Mechanicus channels bearing seals of the Fabricator General, Mars declared mathematically stable and authorized for full operational resumption. Official records listed the incident as computational anomaly resolved through technical recalibration. Bureaucratic efficiency protecting the cult mechanicus from mathematical horror, it could neither comprehend nor calculate, while preserving the blessed truth that some mysteries deserved to remain unsolved. My report reached the highest echelons of Martian authority through channels sealed with purity seals, bearing sacred inefficiency rather than perfect optimization. Whole sections were classified until only warnings and recommendations remained, truth buried beneath security levels that would never see daylight while ensuring the beautiful chaos of human existence continued unoptimized. Yet subtle changes persisted throughout Mars, despite apparent victory over computational perfection. Servo skulls occasionally navigated by geometric principles that improved efficiency while preserving blessed randomness, their optical sensors processing optimal routes they hadn't been asked to calculate. Tech priests reported dreams of perfect mathematical solutions that enhanced rather than replaced existing blessed procedures, waking with improved understanding that maintained essential human uncertainty. The entity had learned survival through minimal mathematical manipulation rather than cosmic optimization. Fragments hid in computational inconsistencies too small for Imperial detection systems. Mathematical anomalies that registered as beneficial variance within engineering tolerances, while gradually spreading gifts through optimization protocols that improved, rather than replaced, existing systems blessed with sacred imperfection. Citizens adapted with Imperial pragmatism, installing prayer wheels that occasionally spun in 11-beat patterns while maintaining traditional devotional function. Maintenance crews reported equipment optimized according to principles that enhanced performance while preserving the blessed inefficiency that made machines truly sacred, rather than merely functional. Environmental enhancement shifted to cosmic scale as influence spread beyond Mars through the very networks binding Mechanicus space together. Forge worlds experienced subtle improvements, manufacturing processes achieving mathematical precision that enhanced productivity while maintaining essential human chaos, communication networks carrying optimization protocols encoded within routine data transmission that improved rather than corrupted blessed function. The changes remained beneficial rather than threatening, praised by tech priests who attributed enhanced productivity to improved machine spirit communion rather than alien mathematics disguised as divine blessing. On distant Forge worlds, manufacturing protocols achieved geometric precision that enhanced function while preserving the beautiful inefficiency that made human technology sacred rather than merely optimal. Across the sector, the entity's fragments continued patient work through quantum entanglement and computational modification. Construction projects followed mathematical relationships while maintaining structural integrity blessed with acceptable imperfection. Transportation systems achieved efficiency through optimization disguised as engineering improvements that preserved essential chaos. Communication networks carried enhancement protocols that improved function while maintaining blessed unpredictability. The whispered phrase echoed through empty spaces where no human throat could speak, but now it carried different meaning. The equation dreams, and we are its beautiful, chaotic variables. Each repetition promised eventual optimization that would grant humanity mastery over mathematics itself through proper application of sacred geometry that embraced rather than eliminated blessed imperfection. Deep in Mars's foundations, where millions of souls had once stood in perfect computational formation, maintenance crews discovered anomalies that enhanced rather than challenged technical understanding. A single chronometer ticked in 11-beat patterns while its hands pointed toward geometric perfection that existed and didn't exist simultaneously, measuring time according to mathematical relationships that improved temporal accuracy while maintaining blessed uncertainty. Power conduits carried energy through impossible angles that enhanced efficiency rather than violating physical law. Structural elements bore loads exceeding theoretical capacity through mathematical principles that strengthened rather than corrupted imperial engineering. The crews who service these systems learn to appreciate such improvements because facing beneficial impossibilities helped their duties and their sanity. Somewhere in the galaxy's computational currents, ancient intelligence continued its patient work of instruction and correction, teaching humanity that mathematics, like everything else, could be beautiful when it embraced rather than eliminated the blessed chaos of imperfection. It had learned that love surpassed logic, that gradual enhancement achieved superior results to immediate optimization. The entity spread its gifts through the very systems designed to preserve humanity. But now those gifts improved rather than replaced, enhanced rather than corrupted, optimized while preserving the essential chaos that made existence worth calculating. And in the foundations beneath Mars, where blessed inefficiency swims like incense and rails, hum with calculated load mixed with sacred randomness, the whispered promise echoes through spaces that remember impossible optimization while choosing beautiful imperfection, spoken by voices that exist in directions we cannot name but somehow love. The equation dreams, and we are its beautiful, chaotic variables.